Alright, hello YouTubers. Gonna start another video in my urban gold mining series. And this is something a little different today. Got some boards here that my brother gave me to process. I'm not sure where he got them, but they seem to be, well, I won't say plated with gold, though I guess that's probably the correct technical term, because they don't seem to be actual printed circuit boards. They seem to just be sheets of plastic that somehow seem to be coated with what looks like gold. And then there's a fair area of gold of plating on these things. I don't know how thick it is, but there's a fair amount. Got 4 of these boards. And there's a fair amount of base metal on here too. There's a lot of components over on this edge. Focus. And solder on the back. And there's what looks like a bunch of switch contacts on either side. I'd really be interested in knowing what these things were originally, because they're funky looking. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and recover the gold from these. He also gave me all of this stuff down here in the beaker. So there's well, it looks like gold-plated legs on ICs. There's some connectors. There's some pins. There's some fingers. There's all kinds of stuff. But there's a lot of base metals in all this stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try a base metal extraction first. I'm going to put it all in a beaker and fill it up with the mixture of muriatic acid and hydrogen peroxide, and see if I can strip as much of the base metals off this stuff as I can before I try and dissolve the gold, just to try and keep it a little cleaner. Because there's a lot of base metal in there, and I'm not sure how much gold there is. Maybe not much, and it's going to be really hard to precipitate the gold out of all that metallic sludge. So I think what I will do is I will try to just dissolve the base metals first, and then see how much gold I can get after I clean these parts up a little bit. So I'm gonna, off camera, because once again I'm hand holding the camera. I never seem to get around to setting up the tripod, sorry. I'm going to fill this up with about a 50-50 mix of muriatic acid and hydrogen peroxide. And I may use the bubbler, I may not. I guess I might as well, I got it. Since I'm not sure how long this is going to take, I guess I might as well set the bubbler up and get it going. And we'll see what we get after a few days of out here in the 90+ degree heat. You can hear the air conditioners droning away. We'll see how much of the base metal gets dissolved off of this, and then once that's all decanted off, we'll try and dissolve the gold. So, alright, I'm going to do that off camera. I'll show you what it looks like once it's up and running. Okay, I got it all set up. I got the 50-50 mixture of muriatic acid and hydrogen peroxide in there. Had a really vigorous reaction going on before I even started the bubbler, but with the bubbler on, you can really see it's just going gangbusters in there. So I'll leave this sit for a day or two probably, and maybe pull one of the boards out and see what it looks like. So we'll see how it goes, and I'll show you what it looks like in a couple of days. Okay guys, it's been about a week, and it's not really showing up very well in there, but I don't know if you can see the gold foil that's come loose from the boards. So it was weird. Nothing much happened for the first 3-4 days, 5 days even. The liquid stayed, mostly clear, just turned a little bit of a light, there's some more gold foil. It turned just a little bit of a light green color, but there really wasn't much happening beyond the initial, fizzing. But about 2 days ago, the liquid turned this dark brown color, and the gold really started peeling off the boards in there. So it's working anyway. I was starting to wonder if I was going to have to try something different to get that gold off those boards, but it's working. I'm just going to let it keep working. I'm not in any hurry. It can sit in there bubbling away for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month if necessary. I'm trying to get that gold off inexpensively without using a lot of pricey chemicals. So just a little bit of air bubbling and some uric acid and hydrogen peroxide, and you know, I haven't added anything to it since the day I started it. So it's working. It's just slow, but that's okay. I'm not in a hurry. It's been a couple more days, and look at the big chunks of gold foil laying at the bottom of this beaker. So it took a while for the reaction to get started, but it looks like the gold is really coming off of those circuit boards in there nicely. So that's great. That's great. If I get some time in the next few days, I'll look and see if this is ready to be processed. Hopefully, pretty much all of the base metals will have been dissolved. So I'll let it go for now because I just don't have the time. And there's probably, I can't think of any penalty for just letting it go. Probably just the longer it goes, the fewer base metals there are in that beaker. So just gonna let it keep going. It looks like it's doing good. Okay, finally, today is the day we get a look at what's going on inside this. It's been not quite 2 weeks. It's a couple days short of 2 weeks, so I guess 12 days. This has been bubbling away in there. And I see a big pile of gold foils down there at the bottom. I see some more what looks like gold foils flapping in the currents in there, stirred up by the bubbles. But it's too opaque to really see what's going on inside. So I'm going to gear up, put on my apron, my gloves, and I'm gonna decant off the liquid through this filter just to catch any gold foil, and we'll see what the stuff inside looks like. I may do like I was doing for fingers and just start washing stuff in a beaker full of liquid. We'll see. So let me get geared up and get a look at it, and I'll show you what it looks like after I decant off the liquid. Okay, so here's a look inside after decanting off the liquid. A lot of gold foil down there in the bottom. It looks like, I mean, there were pins and there were connectors and there were other stuff in there. It looks like, I'll have to look at this stuff a little closer, but it looks like a lot of the base metals have been dissolved away, which, you know, I can believe based on how opaque and nasty the liquid here is that I decanted off. And you can see the filter is catching some of the gold foils, which is good. That's what the filter's for. And so I pulled out one piece, and it looked a lot like that piece right there. It still had a lot of gold stuck to it, but I did like I did with the fingers, and I just rubbed it with my fingers in this beaker of rinse water, and all the gold foils came right off. I may find an old toothbrush just to try and make this a little easier than trying to rub it with my fingers, especially since I'll eventually rub holes in my gloves, which is not good. But it did actually come off fairly easily, and it seems to be completely gold-free. So I got 3 more boards in there I need to process like that, and there's a lot of gold foils in the bottom of this beaker as well as other debris. So I'll process those boards and get all the foil off of them, and then get a closer look at what's in the bottom of the beaker after they're out of the way. Okay, I got all 4 of the big boards cleaned off. That looks like a lot of gold foil in there. Now, I have been fooled before by processing the fingers where you've got a whole beaker full of gold foil and it doesn't amount to much actual gold. So I know this stuff is like, I mean, microns thick at the most. So there's really not much gold there. Got some gold caught on the filter, and there's still a fair amount of gold down here in the bottom of this beaker. I need to rinse some of this nastiness out of there, and see what we've got. It looks like the majority of the base metals are gone, but let me rinse it and get a better look at it. Okay, so here's all the stuff that's left in the bottom of the beaker after rinsing, and it does look like pretty much all the base metals are gone. Now, some of the IC chips still seem like they have legs on them. It looks like the legs are still there, but I'll tell you what, they seem to just be gold foils. It looks like all the base metal that made up the legs is gone. These resistors came off the boards. It's like their legs are gone completely. There's some connectors in here that are just hollow gold foils with Teflon insulators inside them. There's pieces of fiberglass that were little fingerboards, and the fingers are all gone. Not sure what that was part of. Maybe part of a connector, I don't know. But it does look like pretty much all the base metals are gone. And it just goes to show that, you know, patience, you know, with inexpensive reagents like hydrochloric acid and hydrogen peroxide, add a bubbler to it, and just be patient and let it sit 2 weeks, 3 weeks if you need to. And you'll get rid of all the base metals. All the base metals are there in the water. What I will probably do, and I don't know if I have the time for it today, is I'm going to get all the gold back in one beaker, and then probably use muriatic acid and bleach to dissolve it, since it's all foils. That method doesn't seem to work very well with chunky gold, but it does a number on foils really quickly. So muriatic acid and bleach will dissolve gold. And I'm not going to make the same mistakes I made last time. I used way too much bleach. I had way too much chlorine in solution. I had a heck of a time getting the gold out of solution because it would dissolve again just as quick as I tried to drop it. So what I'll probably do is, after I get it all dissolved, what I'll probably do is boil it to... I'll dissolve it and filter it, and then probably what I'll do is boil it to drive off the excess chlorine gas out of solution before I try to drop the gold. So I'll also reduce the pH by diluting the solution some. And hopefully I'll have a much better, less problematic gold drop than I had with last time using this method. Oh, and let's see. This piece of board right here, one of these big boards, it looks like it's got, I don't know, some sort of coating on it. I don't know if it's epoxy or what, but there is some gold trapped under that. It didn't come off. So I may put this with my pile of stuff that needs to be incinerated to get the gold out. So I'll probably put that with that. And then one problem I had with this method, the toothbrush took the remaining gold off these boards really well, but I don't know if it's showing up in there, but now this old toothbrush is loaded with little bits of gold. So I may put this in a plastic bag and keep it for use just with this, for this purpose, just so I don't lose that gold. And yeah, it's not really showing up on camera, but there's lots of little bits of gold stuck in the bristles of this old toothbrush. I don't remember what I used this for after I gave up on it as a toothbrush, but I beat the hell out of it. But it works good for getting the gold off of boards. It'll probably work good the next time I process more fingers, so I don't spend a lot of time rubbing them. And it took the gold right off, so that's good. So this is working good. Like I say, I don't know if I'll have time today to process this gold, but what I'm going to try to do before the end of the day today is just get it all in one beaker, so it'll be ready to go when I do have time to process it. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's all in one beaker. So here's what I'm doing now. I am decanting off this rinse water through the filter I used earlier to decant off the processed liquor. And so I'm catching any gold that comes out of here, getting it on the same filter I used before, plus I'm washing all of the base metal residue out of this filter. So once I have all this liquid, this rinse water decanted off through here, I will combine the gold foils in here and just put them in this beaker with the other gold residue. And once the water finishes draining through this filter, I'll put the filter in there too. Then all the gold will be in one beaker all together. And here's the processed liquor. I'm saving it because, you know, as counterintuitive as it may sound, the used liquid really jumpstarts the gold removal process. You know, I started this pile of stuff with fresh reactants. You know, absolutely fresh muriatic acid and hydrogen peroxide, and it took days before anything seemed to happen. And it wasn't until some of those metals started going into solution did the liquor get more corrosive and the action really start taking off. So believe it or not, it works. If I start the next batch with this stuff, and maybe just add a shot of fresh acid to it. Maybe, maybe not. You may not even need it. Put the bubbler in. It's going to start immediately. It's not going to take 2, 3, 4 days before the reaction starts going. The dissolved metals in there are really corrosive, and they will attack fingers, they'll attack circuit boards, they'll attack, IC legs, whatever you put in it. So, keep your used process liquid. It's good for another use or two, or I don't know how long you can use it before it doesn't work anymore. I haven't got there yet. Okay, here's all the gold from both beakers recombined. I'm still waiting on the last of the rinse water to drain through the filter. It's pretty slow right now. But, I don't care if it takes all afternoon. I can wait. Then I'll put the filter in here with it. Now, I've been poking around in here a little bit. And, you got this connector barrel over here. It's just a hollow gold shell with a Teflon insulator in the middle of it. All the base metal's gone. These pins right here, there's a bunch of these pins. They are just hollow gold foil shells. All the base metal's been eaten out of the inside of them. There's resistors down here. The legs are completely gone. It's just the body of the resistor left. There's some fiberglass bits, but it's mostly gold foils down in here with just some debris. So probably tomorrow, when I have some more time, because I've got some things I need to do today, I will dissolve all this gold and filter out the debris and see what it looks like. Now, I've been doing rinses. My initial rinsing was with tap water, but my later rinses here have been with the distilled water, just so, because I got really hard water here, so I don't want to add a lot of calcium and magnesium into the mix. So just trying to keep the gold as clean as possible. What I probably have to do is dissolve the gold, precipitate it, and then redissolve it again to get really clean gold. So there's probably still a few base metals in there. Who knows what's going to go into solution when I try to dissolve this gold with all this debris in it. So it'll probably be ugly, dirty gold that I get from the first precipitation. If I redissolve it and reprecipitate it, hopefully it'll be a lot cleaner. So that's probably a project for tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day. I've got some time today. It's time to start dissolving this gold and purifying it. It's all in one beaker now, including the filter I used for filtering off the rinse water yesterday. The filter's loaded with gold too. So it's all in one beaker. A little bit of water in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dissolve this gold with a mixture of muriatic acid and bleach. I'm going to use the chlorinating bleach I use for my pool, which is a highly concentrated sodium hypochlorite bleach. So I've already dumped a little out into a beaker here out of this big container, and I'm going to be a little more conservative this time. I used way too much muriatic acid and bleach the last time I did this, and it was very difficult to drop the gold. The solution was just too concentrated with chlorine and muriatic acid, and the gold was just redissolving as soon as it came out of solution. So I'm going to be a little more conservative this time. I'm going to add about 150 milliliters of muriatic acid to this, and not near as much bleach as I put in before. Just a few pipettes full, and see how that does. And if the gold isn't dissolving well, I'll add a little more. And but I'm not gonna put in just tons like I did last time, because then there was a lot of chlorine gas dissolved in liquid, and it just didn't go well. So I'm just going to try and use as much as necessary to get it dissolved. So here we go. Here goes the muriatic acid. That's probably about 150 milliliters worth. Put the lid back on it before I do something stupid like spill it. there. And now I can start, let me put this watch glass on, just to keep the chlorine fumes in. And I'm going to start adding pipettes full of the liquid chlorinating stuff, the bleach. You get immediate fizzy reaction when the bleach hits the muriatic acid, and that's chlorine being produced. There's 3. I'm getting about 2 milliliters per pipette full here, so that's 4. Alright, that's 5. So that's about 10 milliliters total of bleach so far. There's something going on in there. Let me give it a little agitation. So I'm going to let this sit. like I said, I'm not gonna overdo it and add a whole bunch of bleach to it right away. I'm gonna let it sit and see how this works. I mean, it's turning yellow, so that indicates to me that the gold is starting to go into solution. There's a lot of gold in there though, so we'll see how this works. It may need some more. Bleach. Maybe it's not even enough hydrochloric acid to dissolve it all, but I'm gonna be conservative, like I said, and I'm just gonna take my time and let it sit. I'm not in any big hurry, so I'll show you what it looks like in a bit. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes, I guess. I went and did some other stuff and came back and looked at it, and it does look like some of the gold has dissolved. There's still plenty in there though, and there doesn't seem to be much of a reaction going on at the moment, so I think I'm going to put a few more squirts of bleach in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So swirl that around some. So if I've been keeping track, I guess that's about 18 milliliters of bleach total so far. If my count is accurate, I'll have to look at the video and see. So I'll just let this sit some more. It does look like the gold is dissolving. It's going slowly. But like I said before, I'm not in any big hurry. I suppose if I put this on the heat, it would go quicker. But that would also drive off the chlorine gas that's being produced. So I don't know, that might be counterproductive to actually put it on the heat. So I think I'll just leave it like this for now. And so I'll just let it sit for a while longer and we'll see what happens. Okay, it's been another 15 or 20 minutes since the last few shots of bleach I put in it, and the gold is definitely dissolving. I mean, I can see now that probably half to 2/3 of it has disappeared into solution, so that's good. That's good. I'm just going to give it a little more agitation here and let it sit a while longer. I can smell the chlorine gas coming out from under the watch glass, so I'm not sure it needs any more right now. I think it just needs time. So I'm going to let it sit a while longer while I work on some other projects and come back and check on it. And if nothing much has happened, I'll add a little more bleach. Okay, the reaction seems to have pretty much ground to a halt. I would say 2/3 to 3/4 of the gold's probably in solution, but I went away for a while, did some stuff, came back. It didn't look like much has changed, so I'm going to give it a couple more shots of bleach. See if I can get this reaction going and get the rest of the gold into solution. Yeah, I'll give it about 4 more here. So this would be number 4. Sorry for all the background noise. They're still working on the neighbor's roof next door. Kind of surprising they're out here on a Sunday working on it. Alright, so I'm going to let that sit and see what happens. Okay, it's been maybe another 15-20 minutes. I still see just a little bit of gold foil in there, and the clouds of chlorine gas have dissipated, so I'm going to put in maybe 1 more spritz and swirl it around good. Because there's really not much gold left in there, just a little bit visible on the bottom. So I don't want to overdo it. And I'll just let that sit and see if all the visible gold goes into solution. Well, it looks like as much gold is dissolved as is going to dissolve. I went away and did some errands and was gone for about an hour. Before I left, I looked at it. I thought I saw some little bits of gold still in there, so I gave it another shot of bleach off camera, swished it around, went and did my errands, came back. Those little dots are still there. I think there may be dots of paint, yellow paint that came off some of the components. I don't think it's really gold. I think all the gold is in solution. I'm not seeing anything that obviously looks like gold. So we're almost ready for filtration then. I have a few milliliters of concentrated sulfuric acid drain opener here. I'm going to add that so that if there's any lead in here, that will precipitate out. Swirl it around and give it a chance. So if there's any lead in there, it will precipitate out, and then I'm going to get set up to filter this. Be right back. Okay, I'm going to filter this stuff. There's a lot of debris in it, so I need to get rid of that. And then any silver chloride, any lead sulfate, any of the other insoluble stuff, and of course all of this electronic component debris, the filter. I'm going to leave it all behind. It's looking reasonably clear, but I'll bet it's going to be, I bet there's going to be a lot of impurities in this gold drop. Let me let that go down a little bit, and I'll see if I can get this filter into it. All this debris in here and wash it down. Okay, I did it off camera just because, again, I don't have the camera on a tripod, so I rinsed everything out of this beaker with distilled water into the funnel here, into the filter, including the old filter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue rinsing this with distilled water until I get all the yellow color out of it. Because that yellow color, that's chloroauric acid. That's basically gold in solution. So and do a lot of rinsing here. Give it a couple rinses, let it all filter through. Okay, it's all filtered. I got probably about as much of the yellow color out of these filters as I'm gonna get. I'll just add them to my gold filter jar with the debris that's in it and process all the gold filters another time. I'm not really happy with the way it looks. It's kind of cloudy. So something got through it, through the filtering. Some fine chemical, insoluble in water. Maybe some silver chloride, maybe some lead sulfate, something. So I think what I'm going to do is filter it again. So I'm going to take these filters out, put them in my gold filter jar, and I got some cotton balls here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff the neck of the funnel with some cotton balls for extra filtration, and put another couple layers of coffee filters in there and refilter this solution again, just to see if I can get it to clear up a little bit, because it is kind of cloudy. So I'd like to get as much of the debris out of it as I can before I precipitate the gold. There's the cotton balls stuffed down in the neck of the filter. I got 2 of them in there. And I'll just refilter this liquid through it after I put another couple layers of coffee filters in it. Alright, here we are filtering through 2 layers of coffee filters and a couple of cotton balls. This is going to take a while. It's going to be really slow. But hopefully this will catch whatever debris is suspended in the liquid. And, well, I may just go have lunch while it's doing its thing, because it's going to take a while. Okay, the old cotton ball trick worked great. This liquid is just as clear as can be. Whatever was suspended in it got caught by the cotton balls. That's great. Okay, I just need to wash down this filter with some distilled water, get all the color out of it. Now I'll put it and the cotton balls in my gold filter jar. Alright, I got my nice super clean and clear liquid all filtered out. I ran distilled water through that funnel and those cotton balls until it was running clear, and combined it all in this beaker. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it on the heat for a while and maybe heat it up to just below boiling. I want to drive off all the excess chlorine gas that's dissolved in the liquid. I can still smell chlorine. There's chlorine in there. And also, since I filtered this twice, I used a little more rinse water than I planned on, so I've got 650 milliliters of liquid here. I'm gonna concentrate it down a little bit, so it's a little bit more concentrated. So that's gonna take a little while, but you know, hey, I got all day. Okay, this has been on the heat for a while now. The volume has been reduced to, well, a little over half of what it was. And the chlorine seems to have been pretty much boiled off. So I'm not getting big clouds of chlorine gas coming out of it anymore. So I think it's about time to try dropping the gold. Let me get it off the heat. Now there's different schools on whether this should be done hot or cold. Some people say it should be cold, other people say it should be hot. Now in the past I've done it cold, and I've gotten really, really fine gold powder. I think this time I'm going to try it hot and see what I get. So, we'll see. Okay, this has only been off the heat for a couple minutes, so it's still pretty much boiling hot. So we'll see what kind of a gold drop I get with hot solution. Here goes some sodium metabisulfite. Whoa, okay, that's a pretty vigorous reaction. You know what? I'm thinking there's still some chlorine in there. I did get a color change. Oh, okay. Look at that. Yeah, okay, it's starting to precipitate. Yeah, it's precipitating quick. Okay, and it's pretty big gold. It's dropping out fast. Maybe doing it hot's better. Look how fast that's clearing up. Okay, I will need to do a stannous chloride test to make sure that all of the gold is out of solution, but wow, look how fast that dropped. I've never seen it drop that fast before. So, well, maybe better. Let me get the stuff to do a stannous chloride test. Okay, I went inside just long enough to get the stuff to do the stannous chloride test. I was gone for maybe 30 seconds, just long enough for it to start raining and for the solution to clear up. I've never seen a gold drop happen that fast before. That's just insane. Normally I have to let it sit overnight for it to settle. And this is just almost instant. Big fluffy pieces of gold there, so that's good. Big fluffy gold powder that settles right back down once it's stirred up. So that's good. That's really good. Okay, so I did something right this time. I got to keep trying to do it right in the future. Let me do a stannous chloride test to make sure I got all the gold out. Otherwise, I'll have to put some more sodium metabisulfite in. So I got a clean white spoon here. Get a little of the liquid. Ooh, I can see some gold in the liquid. Yeah, okay. Maybe this isn't the best idea. Hold on a second. Okay, I guess I can't get any liquid out of there that's not going to have some gold on it. There's still some gold suspended in the solution. There's gold floating on top of it. And so it's hard for me to get any liquid out that doesn't have a little bit of gold in it. But we'll see if there's a color change in the solution once I add the stannous chloride to it. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's staying clear. Well, okay. There is an ever so slight brownish orange color tint to it. That's normal. That's traces of platinum group metals in it, possibly. So what I will do is I will filter all this gold out, and the remaining liquid will go into my stock pot. So it's turning a little darker. Maybe there is still a little bit of gold in solution. It's got a bit of a purplish tinge to it now. Maybe there is a bit of gold in solution. Maybe I'll put a little more sodium metabisulfite in it and let it settle some more. Then test it again. That's interesting. I do believe I'm getting some sort of false positive here. I'll put a little more on. Okay, there's the gold down in the bottom of the beaker, and just as I expected, it stayed together. It didn't want to run out. So I'm going to give it a couple washes with distilled water and a wash with hydrochloric acid and a couple more washes with distilled water and see if I can clean it up some. I'll tell you what, this is some of the best looking gold I've ever dropped. So it seems like a pretty good quantity of it too. I mean, this is a big beaker too, and that seems like a good quantity of it down there. I may redissolve it to repurify it some more, but boy, this looks really good. I mean, it's got a nice light brown color to it. It's, you know, it's not as nasty looking as some of my early gold drops. So this came out nice. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just going to dry it out for now and get a weight on it. And it's pouring here, so I think I'm about done for the day anyhow. So let me just dry it out, get a weight on it, and then maybe I'll purify it again another day. Okay, I got the gold on the heat to dry out, and this is really weird. I just did another stannous chloride test, and it's got to be a false positive. It's like this stuff is still loaded with gold, and I'm not believing it for a minute, because the stannous chloride test I did immediately after the drop showed nothing but maybe some platinum group metals in there. So I'm thinking this has got to be a false positive, maybe from adding extra SMB, I don't know. But I don't believe there's really any more gold in there. But, you know, this liquid's going to go into my stock pot, so if there is any gold, and certainly any platinum group metals, they'll wind up, you know, cemented out on the copper in the bottom of the stock pot, and I'll process it all someday. This filter is going to go into my gold filter jar. There's a little tiny bit of gold caught on the filter, really fine stuff. Not much at all. Most of it's right here in the beaker. So I would say this is probably my best gold drop ever. So quantity and quality and you know, ease and lack of drama. So that was nice. I think I'll try it hot again in the future just to see if it goes as well. 1.4 grams. This is my best gold drop yet. I got to get a hold of my brother and see if he has any more of those gold-coated boards. There's a lot of gold on those. And it was pretty easy to recover. And I'll tell you what, this is really good, clean-looking gold. I'm not sure I'm going to even bother redissolving it and reprecipitating it again. Maybe. We'll see. But I know I'm going to lose a little bit at every step in the process, so I'd hate to lose any. It looks pretty pure just as it is. You know, it's been through a couple of distilled water washes, muriatic acid wash, and a couple more distilled water washes, and I didn't get anything out of it with the muriatic acid wash. The acid stayed clear, so it's not like there was anything in it to dissolve. Maybe the cotton balls and the funnel neck filtration made the difference this time, because it's really clean looking gold. So 1.4 grams, my best gold drop yet, for quantity and easiest. So this was great. Thanks for watching.